low-quality fans of a high-quality Bruins team, only looking to get higher quality this offseason. Yeah, sure. I wanted to start this video with a message for Leafs fans. And this goes out to two different groups of Leafs fans. The first group, the ones that came into my messages after the Bruins lost to the Panthers and said, hey, I feel you. Been there in some way, shape, or fashion. Best of luck going forward. Maybe a little joke or snippet, but like mostly just good old-fashioned ribbon, you know? Nothing crazy. I feel you. And I'm sorry that your season's over. Genuinely, I am. This is a fun rivalry between the two of us. We both got beat by a team of destiny, it seems. On we go. To the Leafs fans that came in and really enjoyed our pain and suffering, which I understand why. The message for you, slightly different.
Get fucking wrecked.
Also, like, comment, subscribe. We hit 3,000, baby! Huge. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Check out all the links in the link tree below. We got TikTok, we got Discord, we got Twitter, we got obviously a Short Shift Pod, all that good stuff. Check it out. But hey, this video is going to be a little painful for us right now as well as Bruins fans. I'm going to talk about the current contracts we have on the team and break down what the lines would be if we had a game tomorrow. And we're going to talk a little bit about some guys I expect back, and then we're going to talk about some Grizz discourse, a little Grzelcyk issue going on, I think. I think behind closed doors there is one. And then we're going to talk about the prospects that you should keep an eye on through the summer months, and especially during camp. We're going to have a couple prospect conversations through the offseason. I am going to go over a bunch of prospect check-in stuff over the next couple of months. But this is more for the guys who are potentially going to find their way onto the roster next year. Oh, something else I wanted to put in the beginning of this video. We are going to do a hot takes episode in a couple of weeks for what happens this season. Might be next week, as soon as next week. So if you got some hot takes on what happens through the offseason, put them below. Don't get upset if I use it in the video and I disagree with it, though. Don't get upset about it. If you say something stupid, I'm going to be honest with you. And then you can call me stupid and we can have a fun little back and forth. It'll be great. But the first part of this video is actually going to be a fun little thought exercise. I saw a couple people requesting, hey, I just want to know, like, what are you looking at the lines right now? What do you think their lines would be? What if the lines had to be put together tomorrow, right? What if we had an exhibition tomorrow? What would they be? That means no UFAs can be included. Foligno, Bergeron, Krejci, Bertuzzi, Hathaway, Nosek, Orlov, Clifton. Important UFAs, right? All of them gone. Sad. Tears. RFAs, Frederick, Swayman, Lauko, McLaughlin, and all of our further down goalie depth. Everyone else is an RFA down there. Without any of those players, this is what your lineups look like. This might give some of you a little hope. It might also depress a lot of you. That's okay. Marchand, Zacha, Pasternak is your top line. That line, is Zacha a true 1C? No. I mean, he's not, but that's okay. That's okay. Zacha is a great utility player. He can play center in a top six role in a pinch. He's fine. That line is still good. Pasternak and Marchand, that line's still good. It's still worthy of being a first line, I think. It's just not going to be a high-end first line. Hall, Coyle, DeBrusk is your second. It's actually the same conversation. That line's still pretty good. Is it a true the second line? Probably not. Probably not. But we'll move on. Third line. This is where things get a little dicey. Merkulov, Beecher, Liesel. A combined 0 NHL games under their belts. And remember who we're not able to put in those roles. Frederick, Lauko, those guys, McLaughlin, those guys are all RFAs. Like, you do not have people to put there. No Foligno, nothing. So you get a collection of guys that have no NHL games under their belt, but I believe they would be the best suited in those roles. Fourth line, Trevor Kuntar, Steen, Greer. You know who Steen is probably. You know who Greer is. Kuntar is a guy we signed just recently. He would likely, from who we have signed, be a candidate for that left wing role. Defensively, this is really easy. Grzelcyk, McAvoy is your top pair. Lindholm, Carlo, your second pair. Riley, Forbort, Zaboral is your third pair. Then Riley is your 7th D. That's pretty easy, actually. That's exactly what we're looking at. I assume there's going to be some changes there. Lohrei might make a push, but that's what it is. And in net, we have Ullmark still signed. And then behind him, no one. No one. We do not have another goalie signed in our books, which is interesting. There's going to be a conversation about that. Again, we're going to get way more into contracts and free agency in a video that gets us a little closer to the end of the playoffs. The fun part about this exercise is you go, okay, let's say we only brought back RFAs. Top 6 remains the same, right? Your Marchand, Zacha, Pasternak, Hall, Coyle, DeBrusk stays the same. Merkulov, Frederick, Lauko on your third line. That becomes a lot more interesting. Merkulov's your trigger guy, but has some vision, but he has a wicked shot. Frederick is very defensively capable. Lauko has shown that he is, when he's on his game, he's an effective bottom 6 guy. That line will be a lot of fun to start the season. Frustrating, but fun. The fourth line, Greer, Beecher, Steen. That line is heavy. I mean, not just by like the size of the players, but they all play a game where they get physical. Beecher is tremendous defensively. We'll see if it can reflect so in the NHL, but he really is. Steen's decent defensively. Greer's a good back checker. And they get pucks in deep. That would be really interesting to me. And then the defense stays the same because everyone's already signed. That team with the RFAs coming back, obviously Swayman back behind Ullmark. With the RFAs coming back, that team is still competitive most nights. It is not a cup contender. You wouldn't sit there and say that. But you're watching a real hockey team. You're not expecting the Anaheim Ducks, you know? So I think that's kind of interesting. I thought that was kind of fun and sad to go through. The latest news, because everything is based off this, is Bergeron and Krejci. The latest news on them, Bergeron said he's going to make his decision by July 1st. Obviously, the same thing we heard last year. Got a lot to think about. Got family to talk to, everything like that. Fine. Bergeron's going to make his decision. Krejci's the real interesting one to me. They're both interesting, obviously, but I actually had the luck of running into Krejci because he has a house down in Charleston, South Carolina, or like a surrounding little spot to Charleston. But ran into him. Real quick meeting, gave him a fist bump, said good season and all that good stuff. It was kind of surreal for me because I talk about these guys so much. So did my best not to fangirl and scream. I don't know if I achieved that. I blacked out a little bit, but it's fine. I mentioned to him, hey, we love seeing you out there for another season. It was really nice to see you back out there. Hope we see you again, but I know you got a decision to make. We'll see what happens. That was basically quote what I said, and I ended it with we'll see what happens. And he went, we will see what happens. And all of my confidence that he was coming back just went, wee! Just terrible. I think Krejci's done. I think it's Krejci's. Could he play in the NHL next year? Absolutely. We're a better team with Krejci on the roster. I fully believe that. I do think Krejci is going to call it, and I think that's probably the best decision for him. Not knowing his personal life all that much, but just a sense you get from him of he wanted to come back for one last ride, one last attempt, and it didn't work out. But I do get the feeling that he's just kind of like, this was it. I think he has more to move on to. I think he's pretty happy and satisfied. Obviously, he wanted that one more cup, but yeah. I gave a fist bump to a Stanley Cup champion. Feel pretty good about that. But much like last year, those guys are keeping their cards close to their chest, as they have every right to do, and we'll just see. I don't want to hear anything about Bergeron handcuffing the team or anything like that. We saw Sweeney approach the offseason last year in a sense of, I have to have two plans. One if Bergeron's coming back, and one if he's not. And I thought he did pretty well with that. Same thing goes for this offseason. I'm not too worried about it. This team's going to be through a weird phase as it is. If he doesn't come back, it's retooling. Not rebuilding, but retooling. And if he does, they might throw the kitchen sink at it again. Who knows? Who knows? It'll be interesting one way or another. Now, I did mention some Grizz discourse at the beginning of this video, and I don't want to make this out as I have some sort of source or close information. This isn't some clickbait bullshit. I get a sense from a human element that Grizz is upset. Exit interviews and comments, right? He in so many words, said that yes, he was frustrated by the fact that he didn't play as much in the playoffs or was using a third pairing role. He didn't specify the third pairing part, but clearly he thought he didn't get the minutes or game time that he deserved. But he said being a good teammate was more important. And you respect that. That's what hockey's all about, is the team. And so I started thinking about this from a human element. And I thought about how I'm a normal Joe in a capitalist society. I go to work. And I show up at work, and sometimes I want to hit my boss in the face with a shovel. I get along with my boss, but sometimes I want to hit him in the face with a shovel. And sometimes I bet my boss wants to hit me in the face with a shovel. I think that's fair. I think that's how work is kind of supposed to go. Is sometimes you're having a bad day and you feel like your boss has their head up their ass. And you don't understand why the fuck they're being so dumb. And again, the vice versa is very true. You got to have that respect for people. And so when Grizz goes to work in a different way than we do, but still there are similar hierarchies. When he goes to work and he thinks his boss has his head up his ass and he's sitting there going, wait, this is money-making time. This is where I'm supposed to be the guy and I'm not being the guy. I'm not being given the chance to be the guy. I think it's really fair for Grizz to sit there and go, what the fuck? Do I disagree with the decision of the lineups? Yes, I think Grizz should have played all 7 games. Do I think that through the 4 games that he played, that he was some game-changing force? Not exactly. I thought he was better than his replacements. So that's fair. And so for a worker to see someone else take their place and not perform well, and then be talked about in the offseason as a cap dump or something along those lines, yeah, I'd be sitting there going, do I really want to work for these people anymore? I think that's a fair question. And so I think as we approach this offseason, if you see, I don't think Grizz is going to ask for a trade. But if you see a Grizz trade, it's not going to be that far-fetched to say, did he have conversations with the brass going, I got 1 year left on my contract, get some assets back for me, but I don't want to fucking play for you guys. I don't want to play for Monty. If I'm not being trusted in a role that I can play, then I don't want to be here. I think that's a real conversation that they're going to have. And again, this is just coming from my own electric meatball. I just poked myself in the eye. Gee, what am I, 8? I am curious about that situation. That's one I'm keeping my eye on, and I think it's one you should too. I think we're going to see some more Grizz news come around as people continue to speculate that, yeah, he's very possibly pretty pissed off. And I think that's justified. I really do. Fun part! Let's talk about the fun part! We're not going to do the cap breakdown in this video. We're going to save that a little bit as we get a little closer to the end of this real season. But the fun part, let's talk about prospects that I think you should keep your eyes on through the summer months, through camp. And we're going to mention these guys a lot, but let's talk about a couple of them that I find the most interesting. This is not going to include McLaughlin, Steen, or Lauko, who already have the inside track to play real bottom 6 minutes. The most likely guys next season. So I'm going to talk about all these guys, but the most likely guys next season to get that promotion are depth role guys. Do not expect a Calder finalist from the Boston Bruins next year. Do not expect that. And yes, that includes if Lee Sell somehow makes the jump. I just don't see us at that point with a rookie in the NHL. But let's talk about a few of these guys. The first one being Beecher, a guy that I am very low on. And I'm very low on him in the sense that he was drafted 30th overall in 2019. And Andrew disagreed with me. I know you watch these videos, Andrew. On the podcast, Andrew was like, who was saying this, that he was going to be some stalwart forward? The first 2 years he was with the team, people were saying it. And some people have really hung on to it. Hung on to it. He is a grinder, right? Uses his body pretty well to win puck battles. He likes to go on the forecheck. He bashes bodies a bit, but he's passive. He is passive. He does not take the initiative, does not drive play. I still don't think, and there was a disagreement about this as well, people were talking about he's going to be a better pro than he was a college player. The more I looked at his season this year, I don't think that's true. I really don't. He had 23 points in 61 games with the Providence Bruins. He has been very good in the faceoff dot, very good defensively, but simply does not add enough through the neutral zone, in the offensive zone, for me to think that he's anything more than a defensively strong fourth-line center, which has its uses. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Get him up here. You can plug and play him right away on that fourth line. You have a strong fourth liner on a rookie contract. You don't have to waste money on that, finding someone else to run that line. Because a mature player who can run a fourth line and keep it defensively sound is very important. Very important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying this guy has no NHL attributes. But his NHL attributes limit him to a fourth line center or winger, period. There's just no advancement past that. And that's disappointing to players, to people who, and fans who have watched him through his growing process of getting closer to the league. His last years at Michigan, extremely disappointing. Extremely disappointing. And then last year in the AHL, he was fine. He was fine, but certainly nothing to write home about. So, tough board battle, big body, win pucks, get the puck in deep, go for a change. Win a faceoff, win a defensive zone faceoff, go for a change. Great, that guy's useful. That guy's just going to be really, really annoying to watch sometimes, especially when he's so unbelievably passive and will not push the pace. That's most of what I've seen from his game. It drives me nuts. But hey, he is somebody interesting to look at and to see if maybe he takes a little progress. Leaps and bounds. Who knows? He would really have to surprise me, though. The second guy is Merkulov. I know we love him. I know we love him. You've been seeing highlights all year from his absolute evaporation gun of a shot. He teleports pucks. We talk about it all the time with some of these guys who just unleash. He hits that puck. It disappears from reality and reappears in the back of a net, particularly on the power play. Fantastic. 55 points in 67 games with Providence, 24 of which are goals, quite a few on the power play. His greatest asset is his missile of a shot. But he's no stranger to making plays. He has really nice vision, gets into the zone well, has a bit of a, prick side to him here or there. But I see him on Coyle's wing on the third line if we don't have to have Coyle higher. But if you have him on the left side of Coyle or Frederick, what his role is going to be is once you get into the offensive zone, you set him up on the left or right side. And then that center, Coyle or Frederick, preferably, honestly, Frederick, gets in front of the net. And Merkulov has a great knack for creating rebounds because he hammers that shit through bodies, gets it to the net, and Frederick's taking the hits to bury the puck. Merkulov will not be the guy taking the hits in front of the net typically, but he will get the puck there, which again has value. Defensively, I don't know if he's ready for an NHL game. He has made huge strides over the last season defensively, a much better back checker these days, but that doesn't mean he's good. There's a difference between improvement and being there. I don't think he's there quite yet. We'll see as we get a little closer to the season. Fabian Lysell, our best prospect. Very exciting, right? Kind of a disappointing season from him, I think. 37 points in 54 games, derailed by injuries here or there. 46 penalty minutes and struggled on the U20 international stage. Certainly not a death sentence for his top six potential, I don't think. I think he still has that. But much less of a lock for a third-line role this season than I thought he was going to have. Beginning of the year in Providence for him, I was pretty sure that given a year's time, he would at least be in a third-line role for Boston. But I don't think that's a lock. He's going to have to really compete for it. And if it looks like he still hasn't bulked up enough, he still gets shoved off the puck too easily, just doesn't have a full frame, it's possible they keep him in the AHL another year so he doesn't stunt his development next to NHL full bodies where he's just not going to be able to do as much. He has, though, one asset that every scout falls in love with. Now look, good vision, really good vision. Nice puck handling, can beat you from standing still. He is an offensive-minded player. But his skating ability is a top-tier skating ability in the league. He's not McDavid, but you are going to have a guy here who can fly by opposing defensemen. And if he can make sure he's not getting pushed off the puck, the way Pasternak has gotten better year in, year out of not just getting shoved off of it. Pasternak's turnovers usually aren't because he just gets pushed away from it. It's usually because he whips it into traffic and it gets intercepted. Lysell, not that kind of guy, but he does get shoved off the puck too much. Defensively, he's so-so. He's definitely, that's not what he's focused on to get the big bucks. He is an aggressive offensive attacker, though, and when he believes he has a lane to the net, he will take it there. That's something I really enjoy seeing. We talked about it at the beginning of the season for the Bruins and how Monty allows players to win a one-on-one matchup. If you've got a guy in front of you that you think you can beat, you have every right to go for it. In the turnovers, if you go for it and you get stripped of the puck, I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to harp on you. I'm not going to bash you because I want you to have that attacking mentality, and Lysell has it. He just might still need a little more time in the AHL as he continues to bulk up and get more ready for a full man's game. The next 4 months are going to be crucial to his development, though. Mason Lohrei, our newest signing, a 2-year ELC coming out of Ohio State, where he was about as important a player for a team as possible. A lot of stuff ran through him. He is 6'4", 200 pounds. In my head, he could be playing in the NHL yesterday. In a top pairing role? Fuck no. But in a more protected role as he continues to develop, in a pinch, yeah, I think you could send him up there. He's got 32 points in 40 games, 28 of which were assists. He does get the puck on the net, but his vision, his finding of teammates, and his precision getting the puck tape to tape, those are all great assets that he has. In 5 games with Providence, he had 1 assist. Obviously, that's not going to blow your mind, but he's still catching up to the speed of that game. He defends really well. He's a Carlo size. He plays a shutdown role really, really well. He adapts to different situations. He sees plays being created against him and snuffs them out. I really like what he brings to the game defensively. But it is his puck-moving ability and his uncanny, ridiculous skill to hold the puck under his pretty good frame and just go around people. It's crazy how tight you can get him into a space and he's still handling the puck without any frantic movements. He's moving the puck around you until he finds a way to get it past you to his teammate. He's a really smart, high IQ, intelligent player. I realize I just did 3 synonyms for smart, but whatever. He's a guy that we should be really excited about. He's not going to come in and be a McAvoy. He really isn't. But he is a mixture between Carlo and Grizz. He's got Grizz's puck movement with Carlo's size. He's going to let you down every now and again, just like Carlo does, where he doesn't lay the body, even though he's got that size to him. He's not as aggressive as McAvoy, but he's going to be able to strip the puck away from people and get the puck moving at a speed that's going to impress you. He's not a number 1 defenseman in the AHL. But I think he's a really high-end second-pairing guy once he reaches his peak. If not, a guy you can pair with your number 1 and be pretty damn impressed when they're both out there. I'm excited for him. He's going to have his opportunities, as I believe we're going to move multiple defensemen in the offseason and count on Zaboral and Lohrei to make steps towards the NHL. But the best case scenario is trading Forbort and Riley, maybe buying both of them out, which does leave a path to the NHL for him. Lastly, Ryan Mast, the most interesting prospect in our system. He's the most fascinating guy I can think of right now. He will be on the Providence roster this year. He had 30 points in 51 regular season games in the OHL last year, 3 assists in 15 playoff games. He was drafted 181st overall in 2021. He's 19 years old, 6'4", 210 pounds. Big boy. He's a big boy. When he was drafted in the 6th round, again, some people had him as high as 80th-ish on their draft boards, and obviously he went way farther back than that. But some people had him as low as the 240s, like way back there. When he was drafted, he was billed as this rough and tough, big defenseman who crushes opposition when they get in close and has a bunch of the tools, but just really hadn't put it into a complete game. And then over the last season, what I've seen from this player is a guy who defends really well, doesn't shy away from contact, eliminates threats in front of the net. Great. But he's also begun to have a little more vision. He moves the puck pretty well. He gets the puck off his stick at a speed that you like. It needs to get better, but you like it at this stage. And he has this really weird ability not to deke through a guy, but to make a guy miss. If somebody overcommits to him, and you see that a lot in the OHL, he simply is around them. He's not blistering speed. His footwork isn't great. It's probably not NHL level quite yet. But he will just make you miss. I don't have a great way to explain it. The more tape I've watched on him, the more I've been, wow, he just kind of scoots by people. He gets the puck past the first defender from the point, which I really like. This guy has put together a much more complete year than I expected. When he was drafted, I went, man, I like some of these tools, but we're talking 4 years from now that we're actually going to see him. And then he signed an ELC a year later. He'll be in Providence. It is going to be a really unlikely situation he makes it to the NHL. But he does strike me as the kind of guy where if the door was opened, a couple injuries happen, he's going to take the chance and run with it. It seems that he just adapts to the next level pretty well. And I could be proven wrong in the first month with Providence. I really could be. Because once you make a jump, you're jumping from the OHL to Providence to the AHL. That's a leap, man. I mean, I know it's the next step, but it is a leap. I am really interested to see what we get from him in Providence next year. I would advise everyone to keep Ryan Mast's name on their radar, because if he continues to excel past his ceiling, like his development path at the rate he's been, I mean, you're looking at a top 4 defenseman in the NHL drafted in the 6th round. That would be fucking incredible and huge for this team right now. So I've got my eyes on him. I really, really hope we're in a situation next year near the end of the season to rest some guys and bring him up and see him for a couple games, because I'd be really fascinated to see it. All right, guys, that does it for me. I assume you can expect more videos that are more generalized like this, where we just chat about the team. We are working towards the every NHL season in 30 seconds or less. That 30 seconds is usually, a ballpark. We're working towards a hot take video. We're working towards, way too early power rankings. I forgot about that. Anyway, we got a lot of stuff that we're going to do, and I'm really excited about, and I just still want to kind of cry. But that's okay, because we all deserve a good cry once in a while. We do. What a weird way to end the video. Go Bees. Go Bees!